This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Sunset Safari, and a very special warm welcome to the students joining us from Gianni Elementary School. Just give me one moment, I'm just going to stop here. My name is Jamie, and behind the camera is Seb, and we are coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. Because we're in this wilderness area, we see all sorts of exciting animals, and we're going to start off your afternoon with this impala on a very, very hot afternoon. It's 32 degrees centigrade, which is 92 in Fahrenheit, and this is just one of the antelope species that we see out here when we go out on safari. So kids, keep on sending through your questions. For our regular viewers, keep sending through yours on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter, and alternatively in the chat section of YouTube, and we will get back to you after the kids drive. Our impala's decided to go and hide behind some branches, and I have to tell you that my plan for this afternoon is not to find impala, although we seem to do that all the time by mistake. I am going to go and look for a very special lioness who has a very special secret, except that it's not so much a secret anymore. She's got 3 little cubs that we want to go and see if we can find for you on this glorious afternoon. So that's my plan. We're going to leave that impala for now, and we're going to drive straight to where she was this morning, and you've all got to hope that that lioness is still there with those little babies. Maybe we'll get lucky, because I'm sure you'd all be very excited to see baby lions, but these animals are wild, so we can't control where they move or when they move. We just have to try and work out where we think they're going to be. Now, on a hot afternoon, a lioness will be in the shade. Elephants are probably going to be somewhere close to water, and Trishala has gone to go and see if she can find some.
Well, the elephants are looking for water, and Trishala, who I am, is looking for the elephants. And I am here out this afternoon with Darby. Hi, Darby. Darby is our lovely cameraman this afternoon. We're going to be trying to bring you the best of the best, and we're going to want to start with some elephants. Now, we saw them out in the distance, so we're going to drive to... Ooh, Darby, shall we show them here from here so that you guys can see where we're heading to? Can you see there? Let me just give you a clear view. There we go. Hello, Ellie. Nice to see you. Very cool. Anyway, we're heading there. Let's go. So now that it's the dry season here, kids, or at least it was, and now it's starting to head into our spring and summer, which is when it's nice and wet. It's very easy to see from quite a distance. Hey, all you guys at Gianni Elementary, you'd like to know if the elephants actually notice our camera. They don't notice our camera, not really the camera specifically, but they do notice us. And when we go up to them, we're getting much closer. As you can see them ahead of me. Oh, let's look down here. Hello, you guys, you're right down here. You don't often get this angle. Hello, you. How nice to see you. Now, we are sitting on the dam wall, which is why we have this angle of being able to look down at them. And you can see that we've got a nice big individual here, a nice big female. And there's a little calf there. Hello, little one. Gianni Elementary would like to know if you notice us. I think that's a big no. Did you see the shake of that head? No, so they don't notice the camera, but they do notice us. They obviously do notice the vehicle. You would have seen when we just approached how the female looked straight at us. Violet, you'd like to know what the elephants eat? Well, have a look right here and look at what this little one is trying to do. It's trying to get its trunk around a bit of grass. I know that grass looks quite dry and not very tasty at all at this point, but it's trying to get used to its trunk a little bit and try to use it just like its mummy does. And that can be a difficult task. So now in the dry season, where we've come out of and we're entering into the wet season, as I explained earlier, you'll find that their diet can change. So when it's dry like this, they will still go after these dry bits of grass and leaves as well, but they also go after what's called tree cambium, and that's basically the inner layer of the tree. Darby, can we show them this tree right here? Now, can you see that there's bits of bark that's been stripped towards, yep, just like that. And you may be able to see that there's a bright orange bit. Can you see where the bark has just been broken? You can hear what the elephant is doing there and the way that it's breaking all of that. And you can see the red. Can you see that orangey red kind of bit on the bark there? That is the tree cambium. And that's really rich, sort of alive bits of the tree, and it's quite sweet, and it can also be a little bit bitter. But those bits of the tree are really, really nutritious around the dry season. So they'll take that as well. But in the wet season, they're going after all the juicy bits, the juicy leaves, etc. And especially marula fruit that they tend to love, and which will be coming out as we approach summer. All right, let's head across to the other ellies. So there's some right in front of us. As soon as we go over the dam wall, we're at the dam now, or at the wall. Bye-bye. See you later. Would you like to know how the animals survive in this environment? The animals are adapted to this environment. So you would notice that maybe you in the US, you don't see elephants, except if maybe you go to a zoo or something like that. That's because elephants are not adapted to living in that kind of environment or habitat. They are adapted to living in this type of lifestyle, in an African habitat. And that's why they can put up with the heat, they can put up with the lack of water in certain places, they can put up with drought, and most of all, their food sources are here in Africa, and that's why they like it, and they can survive well. If you put them in America, they wouldn't survive well at all. Hello, you. Oh. Did you get a bit of a fright? You were so busy digging. Down, can you see there's at the bottom there? It's been digging up that plant. And they'll do that because you can imagine when you dig in your backyard, you'll find that there's lots of moisture once you go beneath the topsoil. And that's where all the roots are for this plant, and that's the juicy bits. So that's what this guy has been going after. Hello, are you daydreaming? It may look like it's daydreaming, but it is not. What it is actually doing is listening to what the other elephants are saying to it. All right, well, I'm going to sit with this guy for a little bit longer, and we can chat about it in a bit, but let me send you over to Jamie in the meantime and see how her afternoon looking for lions is going.
Well, my lion search hasn't really started yet because I had to drive all the way around to get to where she was this morning, and so I'm not being impatient. I'm quite happy. I'm waiting patiently. I think we're going to find her. I'm really hopeful, but I'm just making sure that I don't miss anything else while I'm on my way there. And what's interesting is that while I'm driving along, I'm seeing so many different signs that the elephants have been here as well. So often we find that there are lots and lots of elephant herds that come through at the same time, and they spend a huge amount of time around here. What that means, though, potentially, is they might have gone walking past that lion. And if they did, then there's a good chance that they chased her away, because elephants don't really like predators. Any predators, whether it's a leopard, a lion, wild dogs, hyenas. If they see predators or they smell predators, they chase them away. Even though, really, most predators aren't a threat to elephants because they are so big and strong. It's only really lions that could attack elephants, and they don't usually, especially not here because they don't need to. It's very, very rare for lions to attack elephants. But even so, elephants hate predators and they chase them away. I think they find them smelly. Now Asha wants to know what elephant babies, or what animal babies are called. So for something like elephants, we would call a baby elephant a calf. And I'm sure that Trishala would love to show you what a baby elephant looks like, a little elephant calf, calf like a baby cow. We also call the mommies cows and the dads bulls. For lions, we call baby lions cubs. For certain types of antelope, we call them lambs for the smaller antelope. So like that impala that we saw earlier, we would call a baby impala a lamb. Baby hyenas are called cubs. Baby wild dogs are called puppies. Baby leopards are called cubs as well. And then you get things like baby hares, which are called leverets. I don't know if you knew that, but a baby hare, not a baby rabbit, but a baby hare is called a leveret, a leveret. So there's lots of different names for different types of animals, but lions, like the one I'm looking for, have cubs just like bears have cubs. Baby birds are called chicks. Baby geese are called goslings. What's another strange baby name? Baby frogs? Tadpoles. Baby fish? Fry. See, I'm just looking at the ground to make sure that it hasn't gone, she hasn't walked away. Now, while we do this, Louise wants to know if the animals live close to each other or if they are separate. The animals live all together in the same place, but what you do find is that some animals are what's known as territorial. So you know what a territory is? A territory is a piece of land that an animal defends. Now, what you'll usually find is that it has to be the same species of animal that they're defending against. So a leopard will only be territorial. It will only have its patch of land, and it will only fight another leopard. And that leopard also has to be the same gender, so male or female. So male leopards will fight male leopards, and they'll stay separate to each other. And female leopards will fight female leopards, and they'll stay separate to each other. Lion pride, same thing. But a leopard and a lion will have the same territory. They'll live in the same place. So it's not uncommon for the animals to be seen at the same time. We often see hyenas and leopards together. And we often see lots of animals all together. One of my favorite animals to see is an elephant, and Trish has been very lucky this afternoon. So let's go across and see some elephants with her.
These are some of all of our favorites. We all love to spend time with elephants. They are really, really, really special. And you don't really get to understand what it's like to be in front of them until you are. So even though you're getting to spend this time with us and these elephants, it really is not the same as when they can actually come up to you and you get a really, really good reminder of just how big they are. They are massive creatures. Now, they're babies at birth. Hello, baby. Just like this little one. This one's not a brand new baby. This one's only about 2 years old or so. You'll see when they're a year old, they'll still be able to fit under mum's tummy. But at that age, at the age of birth, they're still huge, about 120 kgs or so. And the mums and the big bulls can be about 6 tons. So they're massive, absolutely huge. And that's why when they come up to you and they spread their ears out and they puff their chests up almost and they want to show you just how impressive they are, you will be 100% totally and utterly impressed. MV, you'd like to know if elephants can go anywhere they want in this area. They can go wherever they like. There aren't any fences here in the Sabi Sands, so they can go wherever they like. And usually, like with all animals, they'll be following resources. And the resources that the elephants need is water, space, of course, because they're so huge, and lush green vegetation. But like I said before, they don't always have that. Listen. I'm not sure if you heard what that was. It was a bit of flatulence from our elephant friend here, which you can imagine is amplified quite a bit from your own, because it is such a huge animal. And I could hear it all the way here. There you go, you heard it, thank goodness. I'm glad that you did. All of those are very natural sounds even these animals create. Now these two are hanging out in this area because you can see that it's dipped. Can you see that it's a low part of the actual topography of the area? And that means that when moisture is in the ground, it collects in areas like this. So the trees that grow in places like this are juicier and greener and tastier. Whoa! That was quite an effort there from that cow. We call a female elephant a cow and a male a bull. Elena, you'd like to know what kind of elephants these are. These are African elephants. Also, the scientific name for them is Loxodonta africana. And the other type of elephant that you may be familiar with is the Asian elephant. And the Asian elephant is a little bit smaller. The color is slightly different, and the ears are also very, very small. You'll also notice that most of them lack tusks. In the Asian elephants, where in the African elephants you get these great big tusks that you can see quite clearly on this cow. Hey, you've gotten yourself a nice bit of branch there. Yes, you have. See how she uses her foot to pull? There she's pulling the leaves and she's using her foot. Go, girl. There you go. Very, very sweet. Anyway, I was very happy to be able to show you that baby earlier, and it seems that Jamie is going to carry on with that little string, so let's go over to her.
We've got so lucky. Look at this. Right out in the open and wide awake. We didn't even have to search too hard. We've got a lioness and her tiny, tiny babies. And I'm so excited because this is the first time I've seen this particular lioness with her cubs. And I've been looking for her for a very, very, very long time. And then some of the other people got to see her, but I haven't had a chance yet. And we've all got to be very quiet, okay? So you're only allowed to whisper your questions now, because these are tiny little lion cubs, and we don't want to disturb them, and we don't want to frighten them. So if you have questions now, you've got to whisper them, not too loudly. We don't want the lion cubs to run away. Aren't they cute? Now, there'll be times where we can't really see them, because they are hiding in the grass. I'm not going to move the car too much around to see if we can get a good view, just because they are still young, and also because they're still going to move around. So they're going to move around, they're going to come back to mom. As long as we can see the mother, there'll be times where we can see the babies properly. There you go, see? See how they're moving around? They're curious, they're little. They are learning to explore their world. Now, these little babies are only about 6 weeks, or just under 6 weeks old. Now, Jackson wants to know, here comes another one. Aren't they cute? Yes, he was so cute. Jackson wants to know why the female lions don't have manes. Now, just as it happens, these three little cubs are all little boys. So one day they are going to grow manes. But the lionesses don't have manes because we live in a very, very hot place where the average temperatures, even in winter, it doesn't go much below... below 10 degrees centigrade, so it stays quite warm here. And so a mane actually makes a lion very, very hot at times. But the males need their manes for fighting for territory. So it helps to keep their heads safe, it helps to keep their necks safe. He's so cute when they're fighting. But it does mean that they get very warm. So the lionesses don't really need that. They don't fight nearly as much as the males. There's also some research to suggest that lionesses like males with big, dark manes. So it's kind of a bit like the fact that men have beards and grow a lot of facial hair, a lot more than women typically do. It's kind of like that, but with lions. They're all round her head now. She just wants to sleep because she's hot, and they just want to play with her. They're so cute. Look at those little faces. Now, Ari, Mimi, and Ruby, while these little cubs chew on their poor mom's nose, you want to know how old these cubs are. I think they were born somewhere around the 8th of August, between the 8th and the 9th of August, which means that they are about 5 weeks old and a couple of days. They're coming up to 6 weeks old soon. At about this age, this is when they first start to get introduced to the rest of the lionesses family. Now, as it happens, these little guys also have some older cousins. There's some cubs that are about 3 months old and some cubs that are a little bit older than that. Are you thirsty, little baby? See how it's trying to get to mom's milk? Oh, no, I'm just tired. Just tired. Going to lie here across mom. So sweet. Look at those little paws. That fat belly. Oh, it seems like you guys are really lucky. You're getting to see all sorts of cute animals. Not just our little lion cub, but Trishala's baby elephant as well.
Yes, plenty of cute animals. And our little one here is very cute, though. Very cute, too. But, as I was going to say, the lion cubs, though, are very, very, very cute, and you'll be hard pressed to find anything cuter than little lion cubs out here in the bush, possibly rivaled by the cuteness of a leopard cub. But it's very, very difficult to choose which is cuter from any of the little ones, because it seems that every little bundle of joy out here in the bush is just absolutely adorable. Now this little one is trying to follow in Mum's footsteps. Oh, Mum, don't push me. Mika, you'd like to know how many baby elephants are birthed in 1 year to a single elephant. They can only give birth to one in a year, and that's because their gestation period is so long. So a gestation period is that period of time that the baby stays inside of mum, and that's 22 months. So it's almost 2 years that they spend as simply carrying a baby Ellie, and then they also have to spend another year constantly feeding the Ellie. So there's at least 3 years, between calves. so they won't get one baby a year or anything like that. And you'll find that all different animals have different gestation periods. Some can be a few days, like with mice or rats, even rabbits or hares. And then you get animals like this, where gestation period is a whole 22 months. And for a baby to be born at such a weight, 120 kgs, you'd imagine that they need a lot of time to grow inside of mum. So it makes sense. Mayor, you'd like to know how the adult elephants protect their babies. Well, they protect them first and foremost with their size. They have a big, massive size, bigger than anything else that's on land anywhere in the world. They're huge. They are the biggest land mammals. And they protect them, of course, with the fact that they hang out in groups. So you'll find a herd of elephants together, and usually it's females with their babies, and they all kind of use each other to protect each other. So living in a group has lots and lots of benefits, and that's why you may find that animals that live in groups and have a kind of a social network, they tend to have quite a long lifespan, and they also tend to be highly intelligent. In fact, intelligence is linked to the social interactions and social abilities of many animals, because learning to work together is a big deal. Because at first it may be like, oh, well, these people that irritate me, why should I have to work with them? Why should I have to be in a team? But the thing is, if everyone pulls their weight in a team, like with a herd of elephants, if every single one of these elephants pull their weight and everyone decides to look for the right sources, look for the right sources of water, they have experience, all of that counts for the survival of their species. And that's the most important thing when it comes to biology. You want to be able to survive, to reproduce, because you want your species and your genes to be successful. Very, very sweet. Look at these two. Anyway, let's go back over to something equally, if not more cute, with Jamie.
Very cute, and of course also has a very protective mother looking after it. One of the little lion cubs is trying to find itself a nice comfortable place to sleep near mom's head. No, that's not working. Maybe it's going to go and join its brother for a drink. Now, sometimes lion cubs make the cutest sounds, little begging sounds. We probably won't hear it now because these little guys are so peaceful. There we go, tucking in and having some late afternoon lunch. And judging by their nice big bellies, it looks as though mom's been doing a really good job keeping these little guys fed. Oh, this one wants to squeeze in. Come on, mom, move your leg. Oh, oh. Now brother's lost where it was. Pushing in to suckle. Now mom only has 4 nipples that the cubs can suckle from. Usually you find that lionesses have around about between 2 and 4 little cubs. Now, Asher, believe it or not, very soon these little lion cubs are going to be eating meat as well as drinking milk. So they will drink milk for the first between 6 weeks and 2 months of their lives. After that, they'll start going with mom. Whenever the lions catch something to eat, then she'll go and fetch her cubs, and she will introduce them to the meat around about 2 months old, sometimes a bit younger, sometimes a bit later, depending on the circumstances. Here comes number 3, wants a drink, and they've already got sharp, sharp little teeth, so they only eat little bits of meat in the beginning, and they will continue to drink mom's milk for 6 or so months of their lives. Sometimes a little bit longer, and then they will move to a fully meat-based diet after that. And the lionesses have to work very hard to keep them fed. Here comes number 3. Now we're all going to squash in. Look at those tummies. My goodness. Little growing lion cubs. Oh, this one can't get in. Now he wants to lie on top of everyone else and chase mom's tail. She's swishing her tail because of the flies, and he's going to go and grab it. Look, he's got it. Catch it. Catch your mom's tail. Just like a puppy or a kitten, they want to bite everything because they're little predators. That's what they are. And Henry wants to know whether or not the lions or the animals will hunt all the time, or if we ever feed them. No, we don't feed the animals out here. We don't feed the lions. Get your mom's tail. Yep, now it's got it again. Went a bit far away, but now he's got it. He's going to put it back, and then mom's going to flick it away, and then he's going to catch it again. Oh, now there's another one that wants to... No, go to sleep. Never mind. Thought it was going to go and join in the game. We don't feed the animals. They hunt all of their own food. They catch their own food. The only time an animal might be fed is if it's being moved for some reason. Sometimes animals like cheetah are moved to different reserves to help to boost the population throughout Africa. And in those sort of situations, then they might be fed, because they have been anesthetized, they've been moved to a different place, so they get a little bit of food to get them started, and then after that they hunt on their own again. But these cubs already have a hunting instinct. That's why it's pouncing on mom's tail. They'll also pounce on insects or anything else that they can find. And it's all about learning what it's like to be a hunter out here. And it's going to take them about 2 or so years before they actually learn how to hunt properly for themselves. Whoops, you see? Still not very good. Can't even catch mom's tail. She pulled a sneaky maneuver there and whipped it out from under him. Now he's going to chew her toe for a second. Oh, Maria, you want to know how long lions live? In the wild, the females usually live a little bit longer than the males, and they can live to 14. I've even heard of a lioness living up to 16 years old, although that's very long for a lioness. The average is probably about 12 or so, if they've survived to adulthood. For male lions, they live on average, don't live quite as long. They can live to up to about 10, although there are male lions in this area, not in this area, but a little bit further to the south of us, that are over 13 years old. So sometimes lions do live a little bit longer than that. Poor mom, having to deal with these 3 mischiefs. She's flicking her tail. All right. Well, for the little lion cubs, they get to hunt mom's tail. For the little baby elephants, they sometimes can't avoid it.
Yes, this little one was definitely getting hit by mom's tail. Is mom still doing it? Oh, you missed, mom. Giving smacks with that tail. Now that tail is quite long, as you can imagine. That tail's probably about 1.5 meters, about over 5 feet. Yeah, about 5'2". So that tail is about the size of me, about 1.5 meters, or about 5 foot, and it's giving that baby a bit of a whack. And you can see those wiry hairs at the edge of it, that base. Now, if you saw the tail with Jamie, that lion's tail was fluffy, and the edge was really fluffy. But this one is very wiry, and those hairs are very thick, and it can cause quite some damage if you got hit with it. It would sting very badly, I would think. Oh, look at that, a nice big extension of the trunk as it pulls the bits of green off that tree. Oh, there you go. And into the mouth it will go.
There's more hairs there.
Ooh, lots of little hairs. Even there on the lips. Lots of little hairs. Chris, you'd like to know if elephants can hear well with their big big ears, they can hear very well, but they can also hear different frequencies than we can. They can hear sound that we can't hear, called supersonic. Off my game a little bit when it comes to those things. And then they can hear sounds that are below the frequency that we can, and they can detect it with their feet. So did you see how that elephant that we had before kind of just moved its foot as we approached, and then it kind of went onto 3 feet? And that's because it can detect those vibrations in the ground that they create and channel it up towards themselves so they can hear properly. And they can detect all those things, and that's how they communicate over long ranges. But their huge ears are not just for hearing. Those huge ears are also so that they can cool down. One of those adaptations, remember we heard earlier about how these elephants can live in these areas? They adapt, and these large ears is something too. Anyway, let's go back over to Jamie with her lovely cubs and see what mischief they're getting up to.
Yeah, he was having a long look at us to see what we are getting up to. There we go. Well, these cubs have seen vehicles before, but not all that often. So they do check to see what we're doing every now and again, just to make sure that we are not too close or not too scary. But you'll see that they're panting when they're not suckling, and that's because they're very, very hot, and different animals have different ways of keeping cool. These little guys pant, and elephants have to flap their ears to keep cool. So there's different ways. I don't know how many of you have dogs at home, or maybe you've got friends with dogs or spent a bit of time with dogs. When dogs get very hot, they have to pant to keep cool. Now, Ruby, while these cubs gather around the belly of Mom, you want to know how many cubs can suckle from one lioness at one time. They only have 4 nipples, so 4 places for the cubs to suckle from. And sometimes what we see is, because lionesses in a pride are very, very closely bonded, they will sometimes try to suckle, and often do suckle, from other lionesses that are not their mothers. And the mothers don't mind that. They all push together, but they only have 4 nipples, so they can only all squeeze together to feed. Only 4 of them will have space. Sorry guys, just bear with me one moment when I can. I'm just going to try and speak to some of the other people who are out on drive. Oh, Mom's going to roll over. Look. Then we're going to try stay on. Oh, look at those 3 little bottoms. Silly things. Just let go and go round. Oh, what did your mom do? Did she move? Yes. Oh, goodness, look at that little face. Can you see how she's panting? Or he's panting. Now you'll see that Mom is very, very relaxed with us. Okay, I've got my chance. Give me 1 sec. Afternoon stations located, one in Lioness on Nyala Road North with 3 small impimpans. Right. What was I talking about? Oh. goodness, sorry. There's one Djuma lioness with 3 cubs with her just off Nyala Road North, close to Central Junction. Tax, I don't know how many vehicles you want to keep in this sighting. Okay, copy, agreed. They're still quite small. Right, what were we talking about? I'm so sorry about that. There was just lots of conversation happening. Now Mika wants to know if lions like people. And the answer to that is no. Lions actually don't like people because they see people as a potential threat. So there's no such thing as a lion that should be a pet. There's no such thing as a lion that wants to cuddle with people at all. And when they are wild, they are very, very cautious around people. Now, the reason that these lions are not scared of us is because all of the animals out here grow up with safari vehicles moving around them. But if I were to get up and get out of this car now, I would give the mom a really big fright, and she'd probably growl at me because she's got babies, and then she'd run away as quickly as possible. And we don't want that to happen. Now, luckily, the Nkuhumas are quite relaxed with people on foot, because sometimes we do walk and we do see them when we are walking, and they've learned that we're not a threat to them. But there is no such thing as a lion that wants to be friends with people. And if you see lions that are cuddling with people, that's not the way that they should live. You should never ever go anywhere where you get to cuddle a lion cub or cuddle up with a lion. Their wild instincts are still there. Places that let you go and touch wild animals, you need to think really, really carefully why. Why is that a good thing? Because they're not like dogs. Dogs have had many, many generations where they've lived with human beings and they've learned to depend upon us instinctively. Lions are not like that. They're not pets. So you should. These animals belong out here in the wild. But they don't. You can see the lioness is lying down. She's not bothered. She's not lifting. She's not worried at all. All right, we're going to see if we can. Having a little bit of a technical glitch there. In the meantime, we're going to send you across to Trishala and her elephants.
Now, look at, firstly, sorry about that with Jamie, but you're with me and that's okay. We're staying here with these ellies, and I really, really, really am excited because the ellies are standing very still. So have a look. They're standing really, really still. Oh, they've started to move again. But when they stand still like that, remember we were chatting earlier about if they can hear, look at them, there they go again. Standing very still. They're listening. Now, finally, the right word has come to me. It's infrasonic. So they can hear in ranges below what we can hear. So us as humans, we can hear from about 20 hertz to about 20,000 hertz. That's how we measure sound, the sound that we can hear. But elephants can hear below that quite a bit. They can hear, I think, more around 14 to 16 hertz. While we are listening only at 20 hertz. So that's why they can use this infrasonic or really, really low frequency sound to communicate, sort of like a secret channel, just that they can hear, which is a very, very cool. It's a kind of a way that they can all communicate, and it can travel many, many kilometers, whereas the normal sound that they'll just be able to pick up with their ear and eardrum cannot travel that far. Alrighty, well, let's have a final look at these guys chomping away. Now, they've already had a chat with their nearby relatives, so they've decided, obviously, that they can stay for a little bit longer, but that they will join them. They're always keeping in contact with each other, and herds can spread out quite a bit and come in as well. I'm so glad that you got to see the lioness, and the cubs, and an elephant with its little calf too. It was a very exciting, lovely, lovely live safari with all of you. And we do thank you for joining us, and especially thank you for your questions and all the comments, and I hope that you've really learned something with us. Oh, and the elephant wants to say goodbye to. Say goodbye to the schools, Elise. Nope, they're just going to listen and want to join their friends. Well, thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome aboard with us. Now, we've just finished off the kids' drive, so welcome to all the regular viewers. How are you all? I hope that you're very, very well. Of course you are, because we started off with elephants, right? My name is Trishala with Davi on camera. Hello, everyone. We say hi, and so do these lovely Ellies. Now, we had spent quite a bit of time with these two, and we're up on Viatella Dam wall, so we have quite a nice view looking down on them. Now, I say these two because there's a little one prancing about somewhere. It's trying to hide, using Mum as a bit of a shield as it goes. It's being very, very camera shy. Aren't you? Now, there were quite a few of them. You would have seen them on the dam cam, and most of them have actually moved north. But this mum and baby have decided to stick around so they can really, really chomp on this knobthorn that they have in front of them, which always amazes me that they can manage to kind of just pick at these plants with such force and strength, and these thorns don't bother them at all. Very lovely. I was hoping to catch up with the rest of them, but it seems like these are just the stragglers. They've been here, like I said, for the last 45 minutes, chomping on this same bush. Rosemary, you say, what a great drive for the kids. It certainly was, and it's really nice, and you feel a little quite rewarded when you have a nice drive for the kids, because I think if I was a little tot and I had the opportunity for something like this to be in my school and for me to watch, I would love that. It's such a nice opportunity to learn. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Emma. Emma says that the school absolutely loved it. There's nothing like having good content and showing kids something that they really can't experience in any other way except to actually come to Africa. It's like we bring a bit of Africa to them. It's a very rewarding experience. And they had some really cool, intelligent questions. It was an all-round a beautiful school drive. All right, let's head off, I think, just a little bit. What do you think? Or would you like to stay with them just for a little bit? I don't know. What do you think, guys? Okay, one more time. There they go. Very cute. I was sort of waiting here. I thought that they'd be moved or would have moved off by now, but not. They are very adamant on staying here where there's some very nice lush greenery. Oh, Davi, can we please show them the leadwood that's growing behind those elephants? To the left, and higher. I want to show the one behind that's beautiful and green. Look at that! There's so much green happening in that leadwood. Makes me excited. I'm sure it makes that elephant pretty excited too. Ah, typical. So down on the ground now, there are a couple of people hanging about there that just like to pick on the flies that often come with the dung, other bits of undigested things in the dung. Hornbill and starling, always at the party. Party birds they are. Anyway, let's move on from these Ellies. We've spent quite a bit of time with them. Hopefully you'll catch up with some more, but let me send you back over to Jamie with those adorable lion cubs.
Yes, no, definitely not the 3 little male lions that you were looking at the start of the Sunset Safari. For those of you who were with us from the Kids Drive, a very good afternoon to you all. That is an Avoca male lion, and we are in the best possible spot to enjoy a really, truly spectacular afternoon. These are cute little fluff balls. I'll show you in a minute. Quick reintroduction. My name is Jamie. Behind the camera is Sebastian, and he's very excited to be filming these little cubs, I'm sure. I'm very excited. Yeah. This is Seb's first time seeing purple-eyed little babies, and it is my first time seeing them as well. Despite all of the desperate efforts to find them when they were first born, it didn't quite work out the way we intended. So we've just had to shuffle around a little bit because we were battling with signal. But earlier on, I mentioned to the kids who joined us for the Kids Drive that we were all going to whisper. We actually don't need to. These cubs are perfectly relaxed around vehicles. I just thought it was a nice way, because we were quite close, of teaching them to respect little baby wild animals when they are in a situation like this. Look at those cute faces. Goodness gracious. Just want to go and tickle them behind the ears. Not, of course, that we would do that. Where we were was a stunning spot. It's such a pity about the signal, but it's okay. Where we are is not bad either. And we're just going to settle in. We're not going to do too much shuffling around. We can't, because it's the little leggies. It's the Avoca male lion who's less comfortable around the vehicles. Sorry, my Game Drive radio there completely blew away any chance I had of hearing Emma's question. No, it was from Darlene. Darlene wants to know if I've witnessed a lioness protecting her cubs. I have, on quite a few occasions and in quite a few different contexts, and the different approaches are really interesting. I've seen a lioness protecting her cubs against a male lion, and you sometimes see them do it even in situations where they don't need to. With the Birmingham males, with the Nkuhumas, they were the lionesses when they first had cubs, before the Birmingham males had proved themselves to the lionesses, were very much on edge, and sometimes if the males had a little bit of a scrap or a growl at each other, the lionesses would then launch themselves at the males and get very, very angry very quickly. Which is interesting. We have not seen that with the Avoca males so far at all, that I can think of. And in fact, the Avoca males, it's been really nice to see this different side of them, the fatherly side, the playful, more gentle side with their little babies. They, of course, are not first-time dads. The Talamatis had 9 cubs, or have 9 cubs, from the Avoca males, so they've had a bit of practice by now. I've seen lionesses defending their cubs against bigger threats like buffalo. And what you'll find there is that typically they'll shepherd the cubs away as quickly as possible, rather than trying to attack the buffalo or attract attention to them. So they know what to do when it comes to protecting their babies and which approach they should take. A hyena stands no chance. A hyena is going to find itself in serious trouble if it goes near a lioness with babies. You'll probably find that there's very few hyenas that will take that chance. And I think that's also what keeps lion cubs safe when the mothers aren't around, is hyenas and leopards not really knowing necessarily if the mothers are there or not, and not wanting to take the chance even if they smell them around. However, other predators do kill lion cubs while the mothers are away. So these little guys have done so well to survive the rigors and the dangers of the bushveld. I've had lionesses charge me protecting their cubs as well, while I've been on foot. It happens. So super cute. Alright, well, I'm going to sit for as long as I possibly can with these lion cubs and just coo over them So while I do that, I'm going to send you across to Trishala to find out what she has planned for the rest of her afternoon.
Yes, Jamie, please sit with those cubs as long as possible, and then I can live vicariously through you with those cubs. They're adorable, those things. I was so glad when I saw them at Chitwa, do you remember? But not purple-eyes ones. We saw Amber's 4 and Rich Nose's 2. But speaking of Chitwa, I'm thinking of popping over there since I feel a bit warm and I want some water, even though I can't jump in there and wouldn't want to at all. But I like being around the water. It makes me feel nice and cool, and not just, you know, that kind of cool, but also that kind of cool. So it works really well for me. So I'm going to head there, but I'm going to go past the old hyena den block and treehouse dam, etc., and slowly make my way across to Chitwa's side. It'd be nice to get there as the sun is starting to soften, which it already is just a little bit, but maybe in the next half an hour or so we'll slowly make our way down to Chitwa, or up to Chitwa. Actually, it's 2 hours east, southeast. So for now we're just driving about. I am keeping a lookout for tracks as usual. I don't think we can not do that anymore. It's just, or you know, at first it feels like you can't look for tracks and present and give information and drive, all those things, but then it becomes natural. So now I can't stop myself. So if you see my head down and I'm not looking at you, it's not because I'm not your friend anymore. It's just because I am looking for tracks. Oh, hello, Squirry. Squirry Wirry. Hey, dude. It is a lovely afternoon. Thank you, guys. You're all saying it is a wonderful afternoon. I can't really say I had anything to do with it. Oh, and off you go. But it is a beautiful afternoon. It just started off quite warm. I can't remember what it was, about 31 degrees Celsius, or maybe even a little bit more. I think it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, though. So it was really warm when we started drive, and then it's really nice and cooled down now to the point where it's super, super, super comfortable. 32 degrees Celsius and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. But I think it must have cooled down a little bit by now. I can definitely feel that it has, and I have a feeling it's going to be a beautiful evening. Hello, Mr. Impala. You are crossing the road. Why are you crossing the road? No answer? Well, they're all having a bit of a graze there. We're doing a slow drive-by. All right, well, while I slowly make my way down to Chitwa, as I said, let's go over to Jamie. I was about to say Lauren. Let's go over to Jamie and those cubs.
Everything's settled down here. The little cubs have gone back to sleep for now. But as you know, with little lion cubs, they go to sleep, then they wake up, then they go to sleep for 5 minutes, then they wake up like puppies and babies. Hey, Seb, you're going to go through that all again soon.
And in summer.
And in summer, December. Oof. Good luck to the parents out there. You do an amazing job. But for now, the little ones are looking very innocent and very sleepy, and not at all full of needle-sharp teeth that they are, and those little razor-sharp claws. And we're going to sit things out for as long as we can. This is a one-vehicle sighting, as it should be, with tiny ones like this. While they get used to the vehicles moving around them, this is how this whole process plays out. What we don't want to do is frighten them in these early vulnerable stages. And because we didn't find them all that frequently when they were very young, they haven't had a chance to get that accustomed to vehicles moving around. So for now, it's a one vehicle. As they start to move with the rest of the pride, then more vehicles will be allowed in at the same time. As most of you know, the maximum number of vehicles allowed with any animals in the Sabi Sand is 3. Depending on the situation. But for now, it is a one vehicle, what we call a one vehicle lock. In other words, one vehicle is allowed at one time. So if anyone else wants to come and join, we will have to leave. But for now, we seem to have them all to ourselves, and I can't believe we are being this spoilt. Gorgeous golden afternoon light, grey-headed bushshrike calling in the distance. It does not get better than this. So for now, we're going to stick around. If we have to leave, then we'll go look for the rest of the pride. I've just been chatting to Rex. He's told me where they went. I was away for a night. Puma wants to know, it's a good question, how well the lion cub's vision has developed, or their eyesight at this stage of their lives. Their eyesight is very good at this point. So obviously when they're born, they are all but blind and helpless. And then their eyes start to open properly and they start to develop that coordination. Now with human babies, we take ages. Human babies take a really long time to focus on something, and even then it has to be initially really close to their faces, and then slowly but surely they start to notice things around them. It's my favorite point. I always find newborn babies very disconcerting when they're that little, because they're all floppy and sort of, you have to watch their necks and their heads, and I find them quite scary. But when they reach that point where they start to see you and they start to smile when they see your face and they respond to your facial expressions, I love that. And that's kind of the stage that these cubs are at now. They're almost old enough to start moving around with the lioness, which means that their eyesight is very well developed at this stage. They are mobile, which happens at around about 4 weeks old. They start to become quite mobile, and are nearly 6. So they know what they're looking at. They can see. They're probably not as aware as a lioness or a male lion might be. Their sense of hearing is still very good, but they're not quite sure. They're not quite sure what to do, how to process the sounds that they hear. So the cracking of a branch, they're not quite sure what that means. They might not be aware if an elephant walked past or something like that. And that's one of the reasons why we're very cautious around them when they're this age. The same applies to hyena cubs. We don't want them coming out of the den when they're young and vulnerable without the adults, not because they can't run back to the den, but they are not as aware as they should be and not as aware as they become at a later stage. This little lion cub's found itself such a nice little fallen tree. Tristan said to me that he knew I was going to come to look for these cubs. He said, you'll know immediately. It just screams den site. And it does. She's moved slightly from where she was this morning, but not far. And it's nice to see the evoker with her, that he's chosen to be with her. It's interesting. Oh, look at that belly. Poor mum. Those sharp little teeth. Now, Higgy, I love them when they're spotty like this. Higgy wants to know if when lions play fight, it is a kind of training for them. Yes, it is, absolutely. Play is very important, whether or not they realize it, and exactly what motivations are behind play, why animals play is a hotly debated topic. But there is no doubt that in playing, they are developing skills, and they're also developing the muscles that they need for their going forward. Just in the same way that a child has to play to learn to catch a ball, to develop motor coordination, whether it's fine or sort of major motor coordination, it comes through play and through practice. The same applies to lion cubs. Catching mom's tail is a way of working out the coordination between their paws and their teeth and their heads. I've got to make that connection, that cognitive leap, and figure out their depth perception, all of those sorts of things, and that comes in a nice, fun way through play. And we often get Mrs. still hasn't quite made that connection. Yes, I know. A number of times I walk into something or stub my toe, I wonder about myself as well. And I know I played plenty as a child. We often get asked from there, what does that mean then for young leopards, for example, that don't have a sibling? Would they grow up more coordinated? Would it be better for them to have a sibling? Or is it better for them to have the monopoly of a parent's attention? And we don't really know the answer to that. I mean, they don't require other cubs to play with. They can play on their own. They catch their mom's tails. They jump on mom. They catch sticks and twigs and pieces of grass. But it is something we spoke about at length in various circumstances, whether it was, or particularly in comparing Tlalamba's period of development to, say, Shongile and Hosana's. And we spoke about it as well at Fireside Chat. What does it mean for the Nkuhumas having this many cubs around? Will that increase their survival odds or not? I've come to the conclusion I'm pretty certain that it does. The cubs, the pride all moving together, hanging around one area, mom not having to travel so far to catch up with the pride. Very defensive ring of strong female figures. We're going to be so spoiled. We're going to be so spoiled watching 9 of the lion cubs come trundling down the road towards us one morning. It's going to happen soon. These little guys, I think, have probably already met the rest of the pride. I think. We don't know that, but I'm pretty certain that that's the case. Mom's still keeping them separate, but I'm sure. They've certainly met a couple of the lionesses. Look how fast that cub's breathing. Just like a baby. Or a puppy or a kitten. Quick, quick, quick little breaths. I was just saying to Seb, it must be very uncomfortable for that lioness to have 3 little fuzzy hot water bottles gathered around the lioness's belly. I just heard Trishala on the radio telling us something about tracks, but I'm not going to give away her secrets. I'm going to send you across to her so that she can tell you herself.
I did talk about tracks on the radio. I was asking if anyone had picked up tracks on the road I was on in Ingwe Alley this morning, because I found some male leopard tracks. They weren't very, very fresh, but they weren't driven over either. So I'm just going to check here in this block that's off to my right, because also remember Tingana was around this area, or not exactly onto this side, but a little further down, but in a similar direction. So it might have been his tracks from yesterday, and because everyone seemed to be in the area by where Jamie is now this morning, perhaps nobody came across them and nobody had driven that road. Either way, I'm going to have a quick look around the block. Darby's going to keep his eye on the block, and I'm going to keep my eye on the ground. See if we are lucky. Might very well be Tingana. It looked like Tingana to me, but it's very hard to tell excuse me, from a track. Three Pie, you'd like to know if there have been any reports of painted dogs in the area, painted wolves or wild dogs, whichever you like. Either way, it's Lycon Pictus. We haven't seen them in a while, but there have been a few, what I call guide myths. You get the mention of something, something's not called in the radio, but somebody heard from somebody that there were dogs in the area, and most of the time it's a bit of a myth. But I've had 2 of those now in the last week. Unfruitful, of course. That's why I can conclude that they're myths. But other than that, haven't seen any for a while. Remember, those guys move around a lot and very, very quickly. But that being said, I haven't picked up tracks for them either. So I can't say that there are many in the area that we can hope to see today, at least. Maybe when we head to Chitwa, that can change. You know, Chitwa is a game changer. Chitwa can just pull things out of the hat. So we'll go and find out if we can't locate a leopard here. I see leopard tracks not. Okay, last little bit. So what I'm doing is just checking the boundaries of the block. Ooh, harder question, Will. Will, you'd like to know how climate change has affected the animals and the park? Well, firstly, climate change has always existed. The climate has always changed. The Earth has always gone through phases of ups and downs when it comes to climate. That's what drives evolution. That's what drives adaptation and changes in genes, because that's what gives variety for animals to respond to the environment and determine what's successful or not. I think that's important to keep in mind, even though it's not in direct line of your questioning. But accelerated climate change is our issue, and how that has affected the park and the animals in it is quite a loaded question. I'm going to do my best to express what I think. And firstly, in terms of the actual weather, the weather is what we're getting every day. The climate is over a huge scale. It seems that we are getting less and less rain as we go through this accelerated climate change, which obviously means then that animals are drinking less, that there are less places to drink, that there is less food to eat because there's less water to provide the plants with their necessary nutrition. So that's one. This also means there's less shade. There's less shade. Maybe you're not going to get the lichen that usually grows on that tree any longer. Then maybe the chin spot batis that uses the lichen to camouflage its nest becomes less successful because their chicks no longer survive, because their nests are now very conspicuous. So there's a chain of events that go along with the change in weather, in simply the fact of not having water or having a lot more sun. That is a hypothetical, though. I can't say that I've done any research on chin spot batises and their death rates or lower birth rates associated with climate change, but that is a potential effect of it. Then we have certain things, like for example directly, and we were just talking about the wild dogs. I have read how climate change can affect wild dogs in the sense that they hunt when it is quite cool, right? They wait till the sun sets a little bit, so dusk and dawn, that's when many predators are out. But particularly wild dogs can succumb to overheating very, very easily. And if you have extended periods of sunlight, fewer periods of cool, then their hunting time, the time in which they may be successful, becomes lowered, and so their success rate becomes much lower. All because time becomes compromised. The time that they can actually use to hunt becomes compromised. And that's one of those things. What else can I think about that climate change has affected? I think water and sunlight is probably the biggest ones. But also remember that those changes drive diversity and evolution when it comes to the geological scale of the Earth. But it's not accelerated by us, then it's the best, isn't it? But it is at the moment. Anyway, let's send us back over to something a little bit cuter and a little sweeter than the conversation we were just having. Let's go over to Jamie.
Are we enjoying the shade? Are you in the shade, Sam?
A bit.
A little bit.
Hard, though.
No, it's not too bad. I'm actually really loving this. I was hoping I might get some photographs of lion cubs playing in golden light, but the golden light is slowly disappearing, and little sleepyheads over here have shown absolutely no sign of getting up. That's all right. I'll have plenty of opportunities. It's dreaming, or a fly's biting it. Yes, this is true. Although I do feel, Emma says that babies are notoriously difficult to photograph. They're always pulling faces. But I do feel as though lion cubs are slightly more photogenic than human babies. Don't get me wrong, I like all my friends' human babies. They're very sweet. But lion cubs are definitely cuter. Aren't you? Yes, you are. Purple Eye's been up for a while now. She's had her head up. She's been sniffing into the wind. I don't know what it is that she's smelling. I was hoping she might lead us to the rest of the pride towards evening. So, we get the cubs playing, and then she leaves the cubs here, and we get to follow her As you know, we don't spend time with the cubs at this age after dark. But for now, no sign of any movement. Come on, little boys. So the heat got to you, finally. Yes, you've got very sleepy eyes. Too gorgeous. I can't believe we've ended up with 6 out of 9 males, or 6 males out of 9 cubs. Now, Nina and Simon, that's, I would say, very shortly. You want to know how old the cubs will be when they join the Pride? Probably in the next few days, at around about 6 weeks of age. Oh, big yawn from the Nkuma Lioness. I would say in the next few days. She might delay things ever so slightly because of the older cubs. She might want to keep her little ones safe because, of course, older cubs can be very boisterous. And although they wouldn't intend to hurt the young cubs, they might be a little bit too rough for them. So this lioness might decide to give her cubs a couple of extra days, maybe an extra week or 2 of development before she takes them back to the rest of the Pride, or introduces them properly to the rest of the Pride. She's obviously been keeping them quite separate so far. I'm still convinced the Pride has come through and that they have encountered them. It's something I've never ever witnessed before, ever, that I'm aware of. I've seen young cubs come to a Pride at a very young age, but I've never witnessed a first meeting. I'm trying to think, have I? No, I haven't. I've never seen cubs introduced for the first time to the rest of the Pride. I don't even really know exactly how it would be done, or exactly what the lioness does. I suspect that the females move through and greet the lioness when they're close to the den site. I don't see why they wouldn't. It would be a really special thing to witness, though. You know, those bonds that they form, especially if the cubs are female, will last for the rest of their lives. They're so critical to the Pride's survival. Imagine saying, "Hello, little guys. Welcome to the Pride. You're going to be here for a while." In the case of these little males, unfortunately, that won't be the case. Hey, imagine 6 Nkuma males in 3 years' time, taking the Sabi Sands by storm, and we can say we were there. We were there when they were just tiny little fluff balls. We'll see. Better make sure you're recording, Seb. This footage might be important. Oh, such a pity she turned away at that point. It's amazing what the delay will do in that sense. Laurie says she really wants to see Purple Eye's purple eye. It's a cloudy eye. It's her right eye. She was looking at us earlier. You might have seen that. Of course, now, because we've spoken about that, she's got her head turned. And, we've always used... This isn't her name. Her name isn't Purple Eye. It's a description of her. It's an identifying feature. What's Mom doing? Tell your mom to look here, please. Yes, tell your mom to look here, with your little fluffy beard. Oof, what stunning whisker spots you have. What easily identifiable little whisker spots you have there. Big yawn. Oh, waking up slowly. Mom, what you doing? I know. Another big yawn. Oh, look at those fierce teeth. My word, are you terrified, Seb? Oof, those are scary little weapons, those.
There will be one day.
There will be one day. Although I have to be honest, nothing has brought me greater joy than the fact that my Jack Russell Flora has got her adult teeth now. They are no longer needles. Oh, that's a stump. Yes, that's a stump. Chew on it. Make sure it's a stump. Oof. That's a stump. Yeah. Now we're gonna chew a little bit more. Can't help chewing. Chewing's important. Your mouth doesn't fit around that. It's a bit big. Well, number 2's now awake. Obviously the amount of milk that the lion cubs drink increases substantially right up until they start to eat meat, and then doesn't increase as quickly as they grow older, because then they are supplementing their diet with meat. I would say that at this age they're probably drinking about, it's guesswork, mind you. I've never had to hand raise or bottle feed a lion, so I'm guessing. And I don't quite know exactly how much mom gives them. I would guess somewhere in the region about a litre in the course of a day, in a course of a 12-hour period. Maybe a bit less. Litre actually sounds a bit much, doesn't it? Sliding off. A litre sounds a bit much, but then I got whacked with the 12 litres of milk for a newborn elephant, which floored me. I couldn't believe that was the case. No, a litre's too much. 3/4 of a litre? Half a litre? Do you know, I'm really not actually sure. I'm just guessing.
Audio's breaking up a bit.
Is my audio breaking up a bit? It's probably because of how I'm sitting. I'm being naughty. I'm leaning sideways against my chair. Is that better, Seb?
Yeah, thank you.
No, I don't know if we want to do a Twitter poll on that. I think we should just rather say, if anybody can find out how much milk a 6-week-old cub drinks, if you could send that through on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter, alternatively in the chat section of YouTube, that would be helpful. I'm actually not 100% sure. I'm trying to think about how much the poor mother can produce, and the thought of having to produce even 1.5 litres worth of milk in a day for 3 cubs seems tremendously high. I don't know. It's a good question. But I'm thinking of when I have seen... When I've seen footage of lion cubs drinking from bottles, those are very full bottles. But it's formula, it's not mom's milk. Anyway, I've absolutely no idea, but I am really enjoying this afternoon. Trishala's also really enjoying her afternoon. Let's go and find out what's attracted her attention now.
Oh no, don't run away. I wanted to show you this guy, never mind. He's camera shy. He's very, very thin. He's hopped off. He's very thin. He was a lovely impala, the ones we've got here right now. But you could actually see his ribs. He was not in great condition. Hello, beauty. Are you feeling good about yourself that you're in better condition than the other youngster? In your wise old age, you are better than the youngsters. Are you enjoying that? Oh yes, you are so enjoying that. And look at that light. You're sun-kissed. Well, he may be one of the proud papas of the lambs we will be getting soon. Very exciting time. Now I was just thinking about climate change as you asked that question, and just started me thinking about the animals that would get really, really hot and not be able to cool down sufficiently and all of that. And then it also had me thinking about the fact that some animals will do very badly, some will not be able to survive in the heat, and others will be able to. And you'll find that in the tropics, where there is a consistent heat, and it gets hotter than that, at the tropics, they kind of, animals are living at their threshold. So any sort of slight increase in temperature will go beyond that threshold, and then they won't be able to survive. And then a decrease in that temperature will get them into their prime, into their best possible threshold. So, you know, it swings both ways. And it's also in the Arctic, where animals are living at a threshold of real cold. Then conditions start to improve for them. It's not as straightforward as we often think. The issue with climate change is the fact that, come on, move off, move off. I've got a Cape turtle dove that doesn't want to give me way. Come on, guy. Usually they kind of, fly off straight away. This one is adamant on staying on the road. There you go. Well done, well done. How will you be affected by climate change? I wonder. Well, you see, feathers are a good insulator. Goo, you'd like to visit the bird nest again? Well, aren't you just lucky? Because I'm on the road, or I'll be turning left now, onto the road where those spotted thickney eggs are. So let's go pay them a visit. How exciting would it be if they cracked open? Eggs, that's another thing. Eggs will overheat. As you would know, if you crack an egg in the car, or you leave an egg in the car, it'll even just cook. So we don't want a whole lot of eggs to cook. Once climate change becomes too far, we reach the tipping point, as it's commonly referred to. The point of no return. It's an interesting thing. I think I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll with this climate change thing and just start to think about how it's going to affect the plants and animals around us. But what I was saying to you before I got requested for the eggs is that climate change... Thank you, Emma. Thank you. All right. Well, let me send you back to the Lion Cubs now, and I'll have a further think about the climate change things, and we can keep on chatting about it. But let's go over to Jamie and those Lion Cubs.
All right, so while Trishana rolls with that, I'm on a much more ridiculous level. You know, they say that if you look at young animals, some people say you can look at certain personality traits and physical features and say that they are related to each other. Now, I'm just guessing. The other two cubs are wide awake. I'm going to say that the father of this cub is the male lion that is behind us. Look at that resemblance. Fast asleep. Passed out. Clearly a genetic feature, obviously. We actually don't know which of the male lions is the father of these cubs. I know that Purple Eye, or the purple-eyed lioness, as I prefer to call her, has been seen mating with the Lissavoca and the blonder maned avoca. But we don't know. Oh, are you awake? No. The other two are, though. Come say hello. You're chewing on a stick. So, Google, depressingly. Yes, yeah, if one of them growls at me, then it's definitely the Lissavoca. He's been very nice today, though. Cute. Come on, you. Come out into the open so I can get a picture of your little faces. Now, apparently Google, depressingly, tells us that 200 milliliters for every feed for a lion cub, if you are bottle feeding them, for 6 feeds a day, which means about 1.2 liters in one 24-hour period. That, however, is formula, not the lioness's milk, so I'm not quite sure about that exact quantity. I also find it very depressing that Google has such details. Please don't go out and buy a lion cub and then decide that you want to feed it as per my instructions. I'm just thinking, Seb, if maybe we go back a little, we might have a clearer view. Oh, what happened there? Did a stick get stuck in your mouth? You twit. Yeah, you look embarrassed. I'm gonna poke you in the gums. Yeah, does that hurt? Are we laughing at you? We are laughing at you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we're laughing at you. But you're funny. Don't know what that was all about, but Mom's tail, I think, is a safer bet. Look how fierce it looks. They're the fiercest looking lion cubs you ever did see. Oh, wide-eyed innocence. Come on. Come exploring. That's a good little lion cub. You can come say hello to us. What you stalking? Yes, Mary, they absolutely do. Mary wants to know if lion cubs will lose their baby teeth or their milk teeth or their deciduous teeth like puppies or kittens. Wow, what a leap. You're an agile cat, you. Sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio. It's highly entertaining what's going on there. Interesting conversations. Deciduous teeth, yes, they do. They lose their teeth. It'll be at around about 6 months that they should start to get their adult teeth or their permanent teeth. It usually starts with the incisors and then works its way to the back to the molars. So it starts with the incisors, then the canines, then the molars. Obviously, like children, they don't always necessarily follow the correct order. And sometimes they're left with gaps for long periods of time, like Seb's daughter at the moment, Casey. She's got missing teeth. Missing teeth. She's got missing teeth.
Two.
She's got 2 missing teeth. Oh gosh. What's the plural again?
Teeth. Yes.
Teeth.
Yeah, 1 tooth, 2 teeth.
1 tooth, 2 teeth. Thank you. The Frenchman had to teach me English there. Yes, tooths. Case has lost 2 tooths. Yes, sometimes it takes them a while to come through. Sometimes, as what happened with Shongile, the permanent teeth come through, but the baby teeth don't want to fall out yet, and so they end up with doubles for a bit. Still fast asleep. Alright, I'm going to wait for number 3 to wake up, and I'm going to see if I can shift us round to get a clearer view. While I do that, I'm going to send you across to Trishala, who is looking at a feathered friend.
I'm almost at the eggs. I'm just about 3 meters from them, and I've spotted the proud mum and papa. And now we can clearly see that they're spotted thickneys. So we know what the babies are going to be. I think at first we thought they were water thickneys, a dikop. I'm not sure what the Afrikaans name for a spotted thickney is. But clearly, that is what you are. Very sweet. Okay, let's go visit the eggs now that we've confirmed who mum and dad are. The eggs are literally just here. Just here. Hello, eggies! How are you doing? I expect them to shake to respond to me. No shaking? No? Okay. Well, I'm very, very excited about these because I can't wait for them to hatch. And what did we say? About 25 to 30 days or so that they'll take to hatch. I'm pretty excited about that. They'll also actually be moved around. And it's been here for quite a long time, but they can move them around just a little bit. They may move them about half a meter or so to a meter away constantly. But they've been, or at regular intervals, but they've been here for some time now. What do you say, like a week and a half, that they've been in this area. Let's see where, oh, hello you. You are trying to see what we're looking at. Don't worry, we're not, oh, you weren't the focus. No, you weren't the focus of this segment, but I'll give you some attention, mister. I'm sorry, Emma, but I've got to quote you there. I've got to. Emma said, eggs and bacon, ha 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 ha. Cruel, Emma, cruel. But she is right, or she's not incorrect in saying that there are eggs here, and there is pig there, which is bacon. She's not wrong, is she? No, not at all. Well, they're a bit sun-kissed at the moment, like everything else around, which is lovely, because it's such a beautiful evening, and I hope that they're nice and warm. The parents will incubate them and move about and come back and incubate them for a little bit longer. And you'll find that one will sit on it, and then the other will sort of look very, very cautious walking around. And when we approach them, they will scatter as they had done. And maybe we should... Ooh, here we go. Oh, you'll have to say that for me again, please, Emma, because I've just unclipped myself. Very, very gracefully going to clip myself back in. Thank you, Davi. So I don't have to show you all how I clip myself in. You can use your imagination there. But, oh, oh, no, unclipped myself yet again. I'm back, everyone. I am back and clipped in. Okay, well, what I was about to say... the bat. You would like to know if a warthog would eat these eggs? Warthogs have been known to occasionally take a few non-vegetation things, or non-meat things, basically. And an egg is definitely not vegetation. I can't say that it is an animal, but it's definitely somewhere in between. They're strange things. So anyway, I can't think of a time where it's been documented at all where a warthog has eaten an egg. But I think the biggest concern here would be a warthog running over the eggs, which would definitely not be helpful to anybody. Yes, warties. And that's actually the reason that I was going to say before we got that question that I'd like to leave these eggs now, just because these parents might be a little bit stressed that we're around, and so are potentially trampled eggs with the warthogs. So I'd like to give them a bit of peace and let them come back here so that they're not too stressed. You know, you don't want stressed parents. Stressed parents, they might not, you know, be good to the eggs anymore. Take care. You would like to know if the internal temperature of the eggs will stay constant. They will stay constant because they're porous. So they're porous so they can allow diffusion of air in and out of that egg. So they'll try to be as temperature controlled as possible, which is one of the really amazing adaptations of eggs and one of the big factors, influencing factors on how things came from the ocean up onto land. It's the whole development of that embryonic egg. Just having thought I saw some tracks there. See, my eyes are constantly going down. So the temperature will stay constant, but what you'll find is there's not a specific temperature that it needs to stay at, because the more specific you are, the more risky it is, because it's easy for the temperature to become too high or too low. So there'll generally be a good range. That's it, not embryonic, amniotic egg. There we go. Well done, Shala. Tap, tap. You can use your words properly. But thinking of it in light, Davi, that was your cue to show the light. Thinking of it in light of climate change, even though those eggs are porous, let's have a look at the light. Let's go to where Davi would like me to have a look at the light first, because I know him so well. The ambient temperature, if the ambient temperature changes, then what can be temperature controlled and not be temperature controlled, let's get it right in there. Oh, can be different. So if you only have a certain temperature to work with and you can't control it beyond that, then you're still going to have an issue with your eggs. So if climate change persists and we reach that tipping point, it becomes too high, then eggs will be under threat too. But thinking about the development of the amniotic egg and how it's influenced our evolution, the evolution of basically everything on land, it's been such a driver. Because if you can imagine that when you're in the water, you don't have to think about how do I keep my eggs moist and make sure that there's sufficient oxygen around and things like that, you don't think about that too much because you are suspended basically in an oxygen-rich liquid. But out here on land, how are you going to do that? So early land dwellers, early tetrapods, they came out of the ocean and they started to go back to the ocean in order to have their babies, whereas now that's no longer a need, and it's not a need or it wasn't a need for them as well. Hello, Hornbill. Are you causing trouble? You want to listen about amniotic eggs because you were thinking of having babies yourself, is that it? Okay, we can be educational about that too. But that amniotic egg meant that the shell could protect and hold these liquids and hold a nutrition source, that being the yolk, for animals coming out of the water. And they wouldn't have a need to go back into the water, so they could adapt fully to being on land. So a very important step in our movement onto land. Anyway, let me send you back over to those cubbies with Jamie, and we can talk about something more adorable with her.
How very full, and I thought for one second that the cub resting in his little corner there was awake, but it's actually the other lion cub, and that one's still asleep. Number 3 at the back there is still fast asleep. This little one is now awake. To give you an idea of the size that they are, we're quite far away from them. Yes, we're talking about you. That little one's head is about the size of an orange. Or at least a regular size of an orange, not one of those.
It's a big orange.
It says it's actually a big orange.
Maybe more grapefruit.
No, do you think it's almost grapefruit size? Okay, Seb's saying grapefruit size. Yes, no, we've gone with grapefruit. But not a big grapefruit, not one of those genetically modified giant grapefruits. Like a grapefruit. It's not much bigger than this. Look how little it is. Yeah, it's about that big. Head's about that big.
See, that would be a very big orange.
That would be a big orange, you're right. That would be a very big orange. I take your point. But it's not a huge grapefruit. Yeah, but a normal-sized grapefruit. Could have gone with something better than this, hey? Cubs themselves are about this big. They probably weigh about 12 kilograms, maybe about 14 kilograms. So they're stocky little creatures for their size. There's a lot more weight to them than you expect there. Is your head grapefruit sized? Yes, grapefruit sized. Yeah, about a grapefruit, but not a big grapefruit, just to clarify. I also feel like a grapefruit. Lauren was eating one earlier during our review session. Ever since then, I've been wanting to eat a grapefruit. Maybe that's what I'll have. Ali's also made me a death by chocolate bowl.
I saw that
in the fridge. Yeah, that's mine. That's my comfort meal that Ali's made for me. It's just a bowl of chocolate. No, I'm not sharing it at all.
Is it just chocolate?
It is basically just chocolate, yeah. I don't know what's in there.
But it's hard.
It's chocolate and cocoa and I don't know. Ali makes things beautifully. I don't know what's in it, but I'm gonna eat it. I think it's basically chocolate, a bowl of chocolate icing, essentially. So maybe I'll have a grapefruit and then that entire bowl of chocolate, and then I'll feel virtuous at the same time. Alright, shall we try and struggle ourselves back on track here? I think we shall. Did you know, little cub, that your head's about the size of a grapefruit? Chris wants to know if a lion with a limp can pass it on to its cubs. Well, the answer to that is it depends on the cause of the limp. If it's a hip problem, you know, some sort of hip dysplasia, some sort of issue with the genetics within the joints or the muscles or the back or whatever the case may be, then yes, potentially. If it's one of those things that is connected to the genetics of the animal, if a lion is injured, then no, they're not going to pass that on to their cubs. But yes, I suppose there's no reason why a congenital hip condition wouldn't be passed along. Well, definition of congenital. So yes, I suppose it's possible. It's unusual for those sorts of issues to occur in the wild. We see them in things like dog breeds because of the way in which, or because of irresponsible breeding, inbreeding, not enough genetic diversity within certain dog breeds. So for the bigger things like Great Danes or German Shepherds, or else, yeah, we would call them a German Shepherd. Oh, you're going to bite the ear. Oh, Sleepy at the back's not having any of this. Then you will find that there's problems with hips, problems with, we've twisted dog genetics so substantially. But for wild animals, it's very rare. What you might find is a weakness that's caused by bad nutrients, especially in the early stages of development. I knew a caracal once with very, very soft bones because her mom had been hit by a car and she was hand-raised, but she was fed on the wrong type of milk. She was basically given cow's milk, which obviously is a very different nutritional balance to something that a growing caracal needs. And as a result, she had very, very bad teeth and very soft bones. And because she was hand-raised, obviously she couldn't be released into the wild. Her name was Miss Muppet, and she was still scary, even if she didn't have any canines. Come on, come say hi. Yes, come say hi. Look at this, we're so curious. We are so curious, but we've got nothing to really embolden us here. There's no company. Lindsay wants to know what the word it was that I used on the radio for cubs at the beginning of the show. It's a word that the game drive lingo that is utilized is often borderline disrespectful to some of the local languages that are spoken in this area. It's Shangaan that is spoken. Mampimpans. Mampimpan is a young thing. It's a baby. Mampimpan. Mampimpana. But we, as guides, I prefer actually to use English on the game drive radio unless I know that I'm absolutely going to get the Shangaan pronunciation right. And so as a result, you'll notice I generally speak English, so does James, but James of course is pretty fluent in Shangaan. I find it as deeply irritating as James does when some young guide pops on the radio and mangles a local language trying to sound cool, to use the lingo. Madoda, for example, is a man, not a male. Mafazi is a woman, not a female animal. But yet they get used pretty much constantly. Madoda Ingwe, Mafazi Ingwe, Mafazi Ngala. Yeah. Ngonyama is a much better name, much more appropriate name for the lions than Ngala in terms of area. While this little one plucks up the courage to come and see what we are and what we're all about, we're going to send you across to Trishala, who definitely knows who she is and what she's all about, and at the moment that's searching for animals.
Here is my Kudu, my favorite antelope to see, and you know that's hard for me to choose, but a male Kudu or Kudu bull is just stunning. Look at those horns. They're gorgeous. Now, we painted the stage for him. We had it ready. He ducked behind the termite mound to his right. And then I thought, oh gosh. And it was just when Emma said, we're going to link to you. And I thought, no. Won't you please come out? And I thought he'd come out onto the termite mound and just give us the most beautiful image ever. Just because, I said he's one of my favorites. And that's so hard to do. I thought he'd be compassionate to that. But no, he decided that he's too good for me. That's fine. Find someone like you then. How sad. Will we be able to see him one more time? Oh, there we go. At least we can see his head properly. It's chomping away. Oh, getting those little bits of spring that are popping out, aren't you? Really, really stunning antelope. Like I said, he is the biggest antelope that we get around here. We do get eland here in Africa as well, but we don't get eland here in the Kruger or in the Sabi Sands area. Definitely not on Djuma. I myself have never seen one here, but you do get them in KwaZulu-Natal. That's where I've seen some eland. I'm trying to find you a picture of an eland so you can see what I'm talking about. So these kudu can weigh about 210 kgs, give or take a few kgs as well. And let us... I should probably use the index at the back, is most helpful to show that. E for eland. And eland is also a very beautiful antelope. They've got this massive, massive dewlap thing going on. Pam, you say you love those horns. I love those horns too. Now that there is an eland. You can see that he's got a really cool hairstyle going on. Also some interesting horns. And this very, very big flap there. And those are the biggest antelope that we get around here, or in South Africa. But unfortunately, not around here. And they are quite huge. Males can be about 700 kgs. Some go even up to about 900 kgs. So they're huge individuals. And when we're looking at a kudu, like I said before, they're more in the 200 range. Males can get up to about 250, 260, but females will stay around at 210. They're also nice and tall, which I like quite a bit. About 1.5 meters for the males, a little less for the females, about 1.2 meters. That is a large antelope. Beautiful spiraled horns. I once saw a picture of 2 kudu bulls that had been fighting and kind of locked their horns, and then both snapped each other's necks. How strange. But I did see that. Oh, hello, you're looking at us, beauty. Chris, was that your question? You'd like to know if we think that they'd ever introduce eland here to Djuma? Well, I don't think so. I don't know if they would. It's not something I've really thought about. I know that nearby they do get eland. I know when we drive to Djuma from Johannesburg, in between there's a whole lot of areas and you can get eland there too. But I don't know if they'd introduce it. If they introduce it, it also means more competition, and it also means that we have to have more space. More animals equals more space, and sometimes when the density is high and you have lots of elephant and lots of other antelope, you've got to think about those things, because you're introducing a whole lot more competition, unless it's something that's completely occupies a different niche. But with the case of an eland, it's pretty much occupying the same niche. So it's going to be a direct competition for the other antelopes around. Very cool. Okay, let's hit the road, Jack. That kudu, I named it Jack. Bye-bye, Jack. Okay, while I keep on driving on, I'm still thinking about climate change, and we're going to discuss a whole lot more in a bit, but I'll send you over to Jamie and those cubs in the meantime while I actually try and look for some animals.
Alright, so Trisha's going to keep on keeping on, and the lions are going to sleep. That's okay. They'll wake up, hopefully, before the sun goes down, and we have to skedaddle on out of here. Make like an elephant's trunk and hit the road. I've got a host of those expressions. Okay, so Tom, it's a good question. Tom wonders if all of these males were to survive, all of the Nkuhuma males, and they were to form a coalition, 6 male lions strong, possibly more, you know. There's still going to be more cubs due over the course of the next few months. There's a lot of lionesses in this pride who are of breeding age. What would the coalition name be? Probably, at this stage, the Nkuhuma Coalition. Probably. I'm thinking about Junior and his buddy, and because they've established themselves in the Kruger, they haven't really kept, it hasn't really been known as the Nkuhuma Coalition, and it doesn't help that it's also, there's only one Nkuhuma male, and the other is not from the Nkuhuma Pride. So I think they'd probably be known as the Nkuhuma males. Depends where they go, though. If they go south of Cheetah Plains and Chitwa, to the areas to the south there, they'll be given another name because why? Because who knows? Because naming animals has weird politics involved. So Kunuma became the Senegal bush male, the Birmingham boys became the Gowrie males. So, they'd probably give them another name just because. But I'm not bitter about that at all. I totally understand the point behind that. I don't know. I don't know what they'd be called. I suppose it also depends upon where they decide to set up. The Evokers were named after the place that they come from. And there was the Evokers, there are the Northern Evokers and the Southern Evokers as well. And the Southern Evokers are, you might have guessed, further south of us. And we have the Northern Evokers. So I don't know. It also, there's no guarantee that a coalition that big will stay together. It's actually quite rare that you get such big coalitions. They often split. The Matimbas split. Matimbas are the best example I'm thinking of now. The Evokers were different ages, so it doesn't really necessarily count as a split. So I don't know. The chances are, let's be realistic, that not all 6 are going to survive. But we don't want to think like that. We want to think that they all will. And we'll have to see. And I have to wait a little while. At least with Junior, he kind of kept in an area where we don't get regular updates on him, but we do manage to keep track of what he's up to. There's a picture of Junior hanging on the wall in my house in Hoedspruit when he was much, much younger. I'd love to see him now. Should actually go to Kruger and go see if I can find him. Be fun. Him and Tsakani, I'd like to see as well. Tsakani was a female leopard. Her mother was absolutely gorgeous. I only got to see her mother a few times when we still drove on Arathusa. The first time was with Scott as my cameraman, Kwatile. She was anything but Kwatile, actually. Which means angry or grumpy. There's also, of course, not just Junior, but is that nice? Oh, was that stick bothering you? Nibble, nibble, nibble. Oof. Fierce little nibbles. From fast asleep to nibbling. Did that poke you by any chance? It's also the young Nkuhuma male from the 2016 litter, who seems to have joined forces with the Mangeni male, as you know. They will have a coalition name one day. I don't know what it'll be. The Makumas. Or the Nkumgenis. Now, David says if Junior and Buddy were to move into the Manuleti, perhaps we would get our wish soon. It's possible. We're not that far away. You never know. I might get to go for a drive on Buffelshoek or something and actually see him around there. The Manuleti-Kruger boundary, I suspect that Junior's been wandering that boundary quite regularly for a long time. We do keep in contact with the guides in the Manuleti. Not regular contact, but we do speak to them on the odd occasion. Maybe I'll be able to score a drive. Or just go to the Manuleti, actually. It's beautiful there. To think we used to live there when I first started working here. It's a very long way to drive first thing in the morning, if your morning starts as early as ours do. Oh, everybody's so sleepy. Come on. Come on, you're pushing it. Well, I'm pushing, not yet. I will be pushing it soon. Luke says that he just loves watching them breathe and that it's hypnotic. I'm finding it quite sleep-inducing. Oh, breathing has slowed down now. It's a little bit cooler. Don't have to pant as much. So interesting looking at the texture of their fur. It's totally different from the lionesses. It's a really thorny covering. Little hairs on the outside. Totally different to that of the adults. And spotty, of course. It's a pearl-spotted owl, speaking of spots, calling in the distance. See how smooth her fur is in comparison, and sleek. It's very thick and quite coarse, and it's not nearly as sort of clumpy. Oh, someone's still hungry. Just the top of the little head and the ears. Our evoker hasn't moved much either. Okay, before we find ourselves completely fast asleep watching these lions snooze the afternoon away, let's send you across to Trish, who's making her way towards Chitwa.
Welcome back to me. I'm now heading off to Chitwa. I remembered I had an idea before I got distracted by climate change, eggs, the sun, and what else did I get distracted by? A whole lot. So let's head off to Chitwa. It's actually a really nice time to do that because the sun is setting, so it looks quite pretty. Hello, you lovely bunch of impalas. We're going to do a slow drive-by. Look how pretty that is, guys. I always love these wide shots so you get a really nice idea of the landscape and how beautiful the sky is. Hey, guys. You are just lovely. Oh, some of them have crossed into Little Gowrie. Luckily, we're not too fussed because there are so many of you, you plentiful antelope. And we've passed them. Sorry, we're going to Chitwa. They gave me this look as if, why aren't you stopping for us? Oh, there's some more friends. Oh, this is a very busy impala area. Hey, lovelies. Hey, lovelies. Oh, is this where the girls are hanging out, is it? They look at you like you've just pulled up in your very old rusty car to a fancy party. Like that. Judgmental impalas. Okay, well, off we go. As we move around or along the main road heading towards Chitwa, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the effects of climate change. Ah, Dave, you mind reader, you say I've got you thinking on this global warming thing. I'm glad I've got you thinking about this, and I really hope that I've got you thinking about it in a nice, even and reasonable way, because that's the only way that we'll be able to make a difference, is if they can consider all of the reasons and all of the potential problems. And we have to also think about whether we are thinking about potential problems because of ourselves, or whether we're thinking about the problems that the Earth will face that we're causing that she wouldn't be able to recover from, which basically I feel is no problem. The Earth will recover just as she has done many, many times in the past. The issue is, will we recover? Will the animals recover? And worst of all, will we be the reason that it's been exacerbated so much that we basically are causing the destruction of the environment and the animals and also the flora that live within it? Now, an interesting point and what I wanted to chat to you about is the fact that with the change in temperatures and change in moisture content, availability of water, we're also getting a reduction in freshwater supplies, which means a reduction in animals, of course, and in plants, and that means quite a big hit for agriculture. And so if agriculture starts to take a dip, then that means that we have more people that go hungry. More people that go hungry and more people who become poor. And it has been shown Sure, we can definitely do that. Let me go ahead to Chitwa. It seems like we're having a bit of a hiccup. I'm sorry for that. So let me send you over to Jamie and those cubs for the last little bit.
All the way from Chitwa to Djuma, not actually that far in terms of a straight line distance. We're going to be bidding the little ones farewell quite soon. The reason being there are some guests that would like to see them, and we have to make space for them before it gets dark. As discussed, no one is allowed to be with them after dark. So I'm just going to make space very, very shortly. So we thought we'd give you one view. Oh, number 3, are you awake? Not really. But no longer crunched up against the tree. No, we're sort of awake. Little feet up in the air. Beach Bunny, no, this is not Purple Eye's first litter. She had a litter in 2016. Interestingly enough, the place where we first saw her litter in 2016, she was the first of the Nkuhumas to give birth, was on Nyala Road North, which is where we are now. We're not in the exact spot, but we're not far away at all. So she has successfully raised a litter before to adulthood. Little one sitting up now. She lost one male to white muscle disease, which was very sad. I think it was her. No, wait. Was it the two little... Oh, I always get this confused now. There were 3 males, and we lost 2 to the white muscle disease, leaving our only surviving one as the son of the oldest lioness. Oh, somebody's awake. Big stretch. I think one of them was Purple Eyes, and then the other one was Ridge Noses. But I might have got that wrong. They might both have been Ridge Noses. I now can't remember. I've written it down somewhere. It's just gone out of my mind. Oh, fighting! No, it wasn't Purple Eyes' boy that lived. Sorry, it wasn't. It was the oldest lioness's boy that lived. I'm certain of that, because she died recently, and that the surviving Nkuhuma male was her son. I'm just not sure whether the 2 that died, I think the 2 that died came from the youngest litter, which was Ridge Nose. Oh, I thought I'd never forget this. We had 3 born to Purple Eye. Was it 1 male and 2 females? Then 2 to the oldest lioness, and then the 3 teddies, the ones that James nicknamed the teddies. And I think I'm right. Okay. Alright, so it was Purple Eye did lose a male. Purple Eye lost a male, and then Ridge Nose lost a male to white muscle disease. Oh, confusion, sorry guys. It's amazing, you don't think you'd ever forget something like that, but a lot of water has passed under the bridge since then. Oh, squabbling. Squabbling, squabbling. Can't quite find the right spot. You see, there's that one nipple that's the best when Mom's lying like this, because the two are close to her back legs, and one is underneath. So there's that one that sits at the top there that's just the perfect one. Yes, I know. Is your brother monopolizing the best milk bar spot? There you go, there you go. Come on, in you get. No, you want that one. Now I was trying to get his head under his brother. Well, at least they're leaving us in absolutely no doubt that they're boys. Squabble, squabble. I know, Lindsay, we've had the sighting all to ourselves. Can you believe it? I mean, I called it in. I haven't repeatedly called it in, and I certainly didn't give huge amounts of detail on it, but I called it in. I said there were cubs out, and no one's wanted to come and join us up until this point now. I think we have been very spoiled. We should really, really be grateful for I'm grateful for the afternoon that I've had.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Seb says him too, for sure.
Nice weather as well.
I know, and it's such perfect weather. It's such a nice afternoon, beautiful evening, beautiful temperature, perfect in every way. Unfortunately, though, all good things must come to an end. We have to leave, so while we do, we're going to send you across to Trishala, who has been watching the sunset. I don't know if she can still see it.
Look at this wonderful ball of fire. The setting sun has proved even more beautiful than it was before. And I absolutely love it. It's been particularly pretty the last few days, and that's telling me that it probably has to do with whatever's in the atmosphere. Probably smoke scattering the light, making it that pretty. Doesn't sound very romantic, but hey, you know, it's busy converting hydrogen into helium and being pretty for us, even though it seems to be, you know, quite a harsh process. Fiery ball converting hydrogen to helium, looking pretty because of reflections of smoke, but still very, very beautiful. Anyway, we are now on Chitwa, and we are going to head off to the dam and have a look while there's still a bit of light. Just spend a few minutes here. When it gets a bit dark, it doesn't look as nice in infrared as you would imagine, so we're going to just spend a little while here, visit the hippos, possibly the crocs as well. Maybe the fish eagle will be around, which will be nice also. But while we head down to the dam, I'm going to just finish off my thought with you so you can get thinking on climate change and the different types of effects they can have. It's not just the animals, there's the people as well. And like I said, if agriculture gets affected, which it would when it comes to drought, so heat as well as lack of moisture or water, and then you get agriculture that drops, and so people get poorer and you get more famine, etc., etc. And it's actually been linked to an increase in poaching, because poaching obviously brings in money, especially in a place like Africa. So you have poor communities that rely on agriculture, and that gets taken away from them, and honest living gets taken away from them, and they can turn to poaching and other sort of illicit activities, which then even further kind of degrades our society. So lots of little things to think about, isn't it? Lots of things. And plus, turtles and crocs will use temperature to determine sex of their offspring. That will all be skewed. So I mean, it doesn't mean they won't have offspring. Of course they will. It should just be skewed. And also nesting sites for turtles. They can be flooded or they could become totally dry depending on what area it is. Certain birds that migrate, birds may stop migrating because they find that the temperatures are suitable wherever they are. Maybe steppe eagles decide that, oh, they're perfectly happy in Russia. They don't need to come down to South Africa anymore because their winters are now suitable. So there's a whole chain of events that seem to follow one little tiny change that may only be, let me show you this quickly, a few degrees or even just a few tenths of a degree. So here we have our hippo carcass, or what's left of it at least. I feel like I know it really well. You know, we had some good, close, intimate moments. I had some lovely screenshots of you that you guys had sent me, of me staring at the hippo carcass. We were actually having a stare off, and it looked very cool. It looked like a dinosaur. Really, it did. Like a T-Rex. Bye, hippo. Well, at least something gave good use of it. I wonder what happened to the skull, to be honest. I can't imagine a hyena running off with the skull, but I think they might crush it and eat it. I mean, that's totally plausible. It did. It was such a lovely ornament for the dam. It increased its aesthetic appeal. Now let's have a quick look down here, because I see we have others on the dam wall. It looks like they want to settle down to have some sundowners, so I will make it brief while we are here at the dam. And you can see that we have our usual crowd. Hello, hippos. Another animal that would be completely vulnerable to climate change because they're so dependent on water. Freshwater systems get reduced, and then hippos get displaced, and we know that hippos will, or people and hippos, because they're both focused on water, tend to be in the same place, and already hippos are notorious for their interactions or altercations with humans, and a reduction in water is just going to exacerbate that. Apart from that, we know that hippo dung often makes the water anoxic, which basically means that there's no oxygen in the water. Giraffe girl, you say you're not happy, you're disappointed that the hippo skull did not make it to the tent. If I could express my disappointment about that to you two, I would. But unfortunately, as much as I may have considered coming here in the nighttime in my balaclava and all black outfit and steal the hippo skull, I knew it was not the right thing to do. And at least an animal must have benefited from it, so it was not in vain. Everything out here in the bush gets taken up or used up in some way, if at the very least things get broken down and reabsorbed into the soil. You can see the light has already started to drop quite substantially, so we won't stick around for too long. Lowly, you'd like to know if I spot any crocs? Well, let me get trusty Mr. Binos out and have a look. You will look at the shore. Davy will help you scan the shore, looking for some crocs, and I will look with my binoculars. Yeah, you take the eastern edge, I'll take the western edge here. See anything yet, guys? I don't. No. Oh, it's so true, Em. Emma says every log looks like a crocodile. When you're going looking for one, it certainly does. Okay, I don't see any trucks, any crocs. I'm so sorry, but I would have loved to. But I'm going to send you over to Jamie in the meantime. The light is getting quite low, so I'm going to leave Chitwa now.
I have left the lions and am now looking for more lions. Sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio. There's a bit of confusion. Right, I'm just making sure that everybody knows the deal with those lion cubs. I thought I'd just do a quick loop around to look for the rest of the Djuma Pride. They like Hyena Road, and their tracks were going into this area just on the western side of Hyena Road. So I thought they might not be too far away from her. And of course we can spend time with those lionesses if they don't have the young cubs with them. So we'll see. Otherwise I'm going to go to those elephants at the dam camp. That might be my plan, unless Trish wants them, but I think she's all the way on Chitwa. So... No, since we're on Hyena Road, March wants to know whether or not there have been any updates on Corky. Sadly not. To the best of my knowledge, she hasn't been seen on the dam cam since the 7th of September. I think it was the last day we saw her. I don't know, you know, we know that injured hyenas get thirsty. She might be on Buffelshoek. I don't think she's on Chitwa. I haven't heard from anyone that there's an injured hyena hanging out around Chitwa Dam. We haven't seen her on the dam cam. She might be going to Galago. Again, it's possible. I always, when I pass the Galago guests, ask them, just in case that's the case, and they've seen an injured hyena. I can't obviously say to them, have you seen Corky? Because they're going to look at me like I'm completely dippy. Wow, that's yellow. Woo! Let me try. There. Is that a grivia? Is that a raisin bush? No, that's not. I've seen this on Hyena Road before. Wow. That is definite signs of spring. I'm actually not 100% sure what it is. But it is vibrantly yellow. That's exactly what it is. Thank you very much. It's a Mapani pomegranate. Courtesy of Emma in Final Control, which goes to show that occasionally the ladies in Final Control do listen to us. I'm very impressed. Wow. That's really, really pretty. Only occasionally, says Emma. Fair enough, says I. That's very, very pretty. Very beautiful. It does. Emma says it looks like something that would have been in Willy Wonka's garden that you could have eaten or drink tea from. It does. It really does. It does. It looks very... When Seb zooms in, because everything else is so grey and dry, if you ignore the green leaves, it almost looks... You know those photos where you colour enhance certain colours? And everything else just kind of fades into the background. That's what it looks like. It looks like somebody's been doing some editing on Seb's camera work. Wow. Spring is here. I think it's exciting. Everything's flowering. Mapani, Tabuti. Never too late's excited because we're seeing flowers. I know. I'm looking forward to some green grass. We are getting green grass, but it's going to take some time. The silver cluster leaves are starting to get these tiny little green buds on the terminal parts of their branches. There's some nyalas. They were mating nyala on the dam cam the other day. No, don't all run away. I'm trying to just watch you. Don't be silly. There we go. Unsuspectingly walking straight towards that lioness and her cubs. There's still a whole drainage line between them though. And gone. They look so clean. It's one of my favorite colors in the whole wide world. you know, is that red. That red-brown. Tan, I don't know what you'd call it. Ochre. Ochre, maybe. But they're not feeling very cooperative. They have wandered off. If I don't find any lions, I think it would be quite a nice way to end off my day with elephants. It's been such a wonderful afternoon. Oh, Laurie, that's really, really sweet of you. Laurie says that she lives in the desert where it very seldom rains, but that she's hoping more for rain for us than for herself and her area because she just loves seeing it green here. I know. I really think, you know, it's certain areas, desert areas they're dry. The organisms are adapted to being in a place with very little rain. That's the ecosystem that they live in. For us here, it has been 3 very hard years of dry, and it would be nice to see the dams overflowing. It would be nice to see the drainage lines flowing in the way that they should at the height of summer. I mean, I'm not wishing flood upon the area, but it would be nice to have a normal rainfall. Something to build back the buffalo population. It makes our life 10 times harder. It really does. It's easy in winter comparatively. That was odd. I got the gist of that question though. So 50 wants to know if there's laws in South Africa to prevent the spread of invasive species. Yes, there are. There's a lot of environment. We've actually got, in theory, in South Africa, in theory, one of the strongest environmental legal structures in the world. We've got a very developed environmental law structure, in theory. Enforcement, on the other hand, might be an entirely different kettle of fish. But yes, there's lots of programs, not necessarily laws, but programs aimed at removing invasive species, water hyacinth, prickly pear. There's not one prickly pear on Djuma, I don't think, that I've found, and I've been here walking around this place for 4.5 years-ish. Spent a fair portion of that in Kenya. Never found a prickly pear. I'm trying to remove prickly pears, lantana. There's quite a few species. There's also a push towards indigenous gardens. It's not a law, but there's certain species that you can't plant in areas like this. You can't just go out and buy a jacaranda tree and plant it here in the middle of the Sabi Sands. And there's certain places that have exotic species of tree, but they're not invasive, so they get to stay. But yes, there are definitely systems in place to target, and in some situations winning, in some situations losing. There's certain waterways that are being choked by invasive water-based plant-based plant species. I'll get there eventually. The hyphen would eventually end up in the right place. To take the fire break or the cut lines? Take the cut line.
Thank you.
Floyd, now that Seb's pointed out that the fire break's horrible and we must take the cut line, which is fair enough, it is horrible that way. Floyd says that prickly pear makes the best ice cream flavor. Really? I did not know that. The only thing I've ever had to do with prickly pear has been removing it, and I can't say that I've had much fun doing that, but I really feel as though it might have changed my opinion about my job removing prickly pear and then setting fire to it if I'd known that it made the best ice cream flavor. I mean, if I'd known I was harvesting ice cream flavorant. Wow. Actually there's something intriguing about that. I feel like I would have to try prickly pear ice cream. Oh, there's a reason it was popular in this place, planted in this place in the first place. Let's find out what Trishala thinks about prickly pear ice cream while I make my way towards those eddies.
Jamie, I will be your sampler for life. Ice cream is one of my favorite foods, favorite things to eat ever. Different flavors, assortments, different bits in it. I love ice cream. I really, really, really love ice cream. So much so that today I even had vanilla ice cream with bits of Milo on it. I did. Tell me that's not a great combination, Darby. It's a great combination. I love ice cream. It is, it's a classic. All South Africans know. Vanilla ice cream with Milo. Yes, please. If there were sprinkles, I would have thrown that on there too. When it comes to ice cream, I'm a child. I absolutely are. Now, I am also trying to linger on the southern boundary as long as possible because I heard from a little birdie that somebody named... Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? Tell me, let me know. #safariLIVE, because that individual is roaming around Hoffman's, and Hoffman's is to the south of us. Come on, guys. You know who it is. You know. He even gets a dance when I see him. He's hanging around Hoffman's to the south of us, moving north. Could be. Okay, I'll give you guys a few more seconds. If not, I will do the big reveal. To which I hope you all will be thoroughly impressed with my dance. But there's a possibility that that guy... Never too late, I don't blame you at all. You think I'm talking about an ostrich? I think that would be my ostrich. But this is... It's a hook. It's the hook! Go Project Alpha! It's the hook, everyone. The hook may be around and may be moving north from the south. So we're just going to pretend that there's a lot to do down here on the southern boundary while we wait. Arbia, did you say a free-ranging hand puppet? I suppose it could be. Wow, look at that color. Absolutely stunning. And then we also have a water buck crossing going on in front of us. Ta-da. Guys, have you known, or do you know if Hukumuri is around? No, trot, trot, trot. They trot like horses, which is quite pretty. Can you hear that very natural sound of the electricity poles? Thank you, Emma. Emma says these guys are not scared because they thought I was talking about an ostrich. Whoa. Are they ever going to stop? This is a long line of waterbuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come on, guys. You can make it. You can make it. Oh, that color of that sky is just beautiful. This sky reminds me of a really nice peach with a drop of strawberry ice cream. Sorbet. Ooh. In fact, I'm sure prickly pear ice cream might look like that too. Louise. Aren't you just so special? You say the atmosphere is electric. It certainly is electric tonight. That's why these waterbuck are taking advantage of the romantic scene that we have right here. Oh, I'm just going to listen to the Game Drive radio for a moment. I don't know if you heard the buzzing of the mosquito that just came very close to my cap a couple seconds ago. Just like that. I just want to listen before I drive. Oh my goodness, I really hope you can hear that over the buzzing of this electrical wires. How are we gonna get there? How are we gonna get there? It sounded like it was there. Vroom, 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 vroom. Sorry, Darby, did I drop you? Let's see if I can turn in Little Gary. Can I turn here? Nariga, hold on quick while you fetch your what from the freezer? Please give that to me, Emma, again before I use my imagination. Oh, ice cream box. Yes, go get your ice cream. And then if you can, please share some with me. Or maybe I shouldn't have ice cream twice in one day. But hey, who said I shouldn't? Okay, we're moving it because I want to get to the sound of those lions. I want to hear them roar, and I want them to roar for you. So let's go find them. In the meantime, I'll send you over to Amy and see how she's doing in black and white.
Brent's just sent me a message because he's here visiting. He said that he can hear lions too. I can't hear anything. I don't know if that's because of the ridiculous ear blockage that I have. It might be. I can't hear any lions, so they must be further to the south where Charlotte is. If she's near the power lines, she's on Gowrie Main, they must be roaring from there, because I haven't heard the lions that we were with roar. Let's just coast a bit and see. We're not going to make it over this bump. Would have been a lot cooler if we had. We're not. No. Step, you haven't heard any lions. No. We must be in the wrong place for them. See if he's responded to me asking where he heard them. No. Nope. Oh, well, that's not much help. That ain't no Dacre. What are you? Jinx? We use a healthy dose of DATE DEET. Can you, Seb, can you zoom in on the, there, to the left there? Genet. Yeah. There you go. I'm going to keep the spotlight up, but I'll just drop it a little bit just so that we can watch it. Cool. Didn't think that was anything else but a Genet, actually. The eyes were so close together, and she's being so cooperative. All Genets are males in my mind. All Genets are females in my mind, unless I actually get to see that they're a male. So she's been very cooperative. She's just hiding now on the grass. I think she might let us shift forward a little bit. This is very, very cool. We've actually not seen a genet in a long time that I can think of. I certainly haven't. Apparently there was a lion calling on Hyena Road. I must be losing my mind. Oh, Buffelshoek Dam. Let's try there. That bush doesn't help us, does it? I don't want to go too close in case we disturb it, but that's really, really cool. It's one thing that I always look forward to about driving around at night, but we're often not out really at the right time for... Now, Magic Dragon Wizard wants to know if these are cats. They're not, although they're part of the sort of filiform branch of the evolutionary line, but they are what's known as viverids. They belong to a family known as the Viveridae family. So they are more closely related to something like a mongoose. And if you see them, you get the feeling that they're kind of like somebody crossed a cat with a mongoose. Back in the day, they used to be lumped together with mongoose in one family. And the mongoose became the Herpestids, or the Herpestidae family. And the... Sorry, I'm still listening to the Game Drive radio. Shame. This poor guy just got into trouble for being with the lions still, with the cubs, but he's not. He left them. He wasn't actually in the wrong. I just wanted to know if I should intervene or not, but he seems to be fine on his own. Should we try get a little closer? Let's see what happens. I mean, it's just going to move off. There was always a relaxed little genet that lived around Gari Cutline. I'm not sure if it's a small spotted or a large spotted. I think it's probably small spotted. Guitarist, is your name Guitarist Suck? Did I get that right, or have I misunderstood that? It says that apparently the word genet in, was it Italian, is a French, oh goodness, I'm losing my marbles. No, there it goes. It's gone. Is an Italian, has a feminine, oh goodness, brain function. Words. I don't even know where French is coming into this. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a feminine word in Italian. Oh. It is in French as well, says Seb. Okay, well, there we go. At least I know it's same in French. I did get there in the end. I tried. She went down into the drainage line. Sort of thought she might do that, but it was worth a try. I miss Genevieve. Genevieve was our genet who came to camp all the time. And she used to come in, and when we ate at Inga's, she used to come into the lounge and look to see whether we had any scraps. Or come and sit in the tree and watch us while we watch TV. Not that we often watch TV. I miss her. Wonder what happened to her. Well, it sounds like apparently there's another lion roaring somewhere around Hyena Road. So it must have roared when we were past it and when I've been chatting away to you and I haven't heard it. So I definitely didn't hear it. So I'm just going to settle down and wait and see if I can hear it again while I do that and while I search for these elephants. I'm going to send you across to Trishala, who is racing along. Let's find out where she's going.
Well, I hope that Jamie can find those lions that were roaring, because my attention has been swiftly changed to Hukumuri, who has crossed into Djuma near Triple M, which is all the way on the other side. So I'm safaring as fast as I can, weaving through these roads, but also have the spotlight out just in case I see anything that I can report to the others. But I am focused on getting to Hukumuri. Now the problem is, those who called him in are not able to enter into Djuma. I was lucky to be able to get that information, so I was on the different channel and got my sources, you know. sources in the form of Dylan at Chitwa. Yay, yay, Jamie's found another Genet. Jamie and the Genet. Let's go over to her. Sorry, boy.
I've found you another one. I just have to try and get it on camera for you. But I found you another Genet. No, don't run away. I just thought while Trish gets to Hukamuri, I thought I'd try and show you. No, there's 3. I wonder if there's not babies here. Not 3, there's another one. In the grass. There's something going on here. There's one in the grass at the front of the tree. In exactly where my spotlight is. It's there, it's just hidden. And there's another one that's gone behind the tree. So it's possible it's a mother and some youngsters. And I'm actually a little bit separate from where we had that other Genet. Just wait with me. Just bear with me for one moment, because they could well relax. I thought I saw 2. No, it's really hard for Seb, and it's not particularly exciting filming grass. Let me try reposition for that one. It's right here. The base of the tree. There. I keep getting a glimpse of its eyes, and then it ducks away. Larry wants to know if they're related to ferrets. No, not closely related to ferrets, distantly. Well done, Seb. I mean, it's not the world's most spectacular view, is it? But it's there. I just want to see if there's a baby Genet here. I would really like to show you a baby Genet. Sorry, I just don't want it. MGN wants to know what you call a bunch of Genets. Good luck. I know what you're saying, though. What's the collective noun for a group of Genets? We need a name. Come on, guys. What is a nice name for Genet? A collective noun. Jerry can of Genets? No. Jumble? A jumble of Genets. I like jumble. Okay, this isn't working out very well. A Jenny of Genets, a jumble of Genets, a jigsaw of Genets, a jukebox of Genets. I think there used to be a Genet nest in one of these trees off Gary Cutline, but I was in the Mara, so I never got to see it. A what of Genets? Sorry, Em? A jumper? A jumper of Genets. Oh, apropos ferrets, they're part of the mustelid family. Hey, you, I can see you looking at me. It's so frustrating. I can see it so clearly. There were definitely 2 here, and this one, I think, is a youngster. Just drop the light down a bit there. Can you see its eye there, Seb? Okay, quick, over to Trish. It's an afternoon of unusual sightings.
Check it out. In our rush to find Hukamuri, we have managed to find a wildcat who's going to dash away very quickly from us. Ah! Yay! Okay, on to the next one, Let's go find Hukamuri. Now, I saw these eyes in the darkness, and I said, ooh, that eye shine doesn't look like the usual. And then when we came closer, I realized it's not Hukamuri because the eyes are too close together. But it was a wildcat! Yay! Those are very rare to see, guys, so well done. Thank you, wildcat. Let's go get a cat trifecta, a feline trifecta. I think Mendoza Road is going to be the road to go. Hey, impalas, I'm so sorry, but I need you to move aside. Thank you. You're lucky I'm not being more harsh. I mean, Hukumuri is around. There we go, there we go. Okay. All right, back to the Genet mystery. You managed to see a wildcat, Genet, lions. Let's get a leopard. All right, see you just now. Go over to Jamie.
The Genet mystery, I like that. Luke says a genesis of genets. How cool is this? 2 genets and a wildcat for an evening drive. My word. Oh, dear, I better stop saying that. I think that's very exciting. Neil, I don't know where I got Luke from. I pulled that out of thin air. Neil, it was Neil's suggestion. I'm not sure. I had a hard factory reset my brain. It's glitchy. You can just see it moving here. As I said, I think it is a young genet. I have got my spotlight out, but I'm not shining on it. I'm bouncing light off the ground near it. I don't want to put it in any sort of risk. I thought maybe if we sit patiently it might come out, because genets are actually naturally quite curious creatures. Grant and Michelle told us the most amazing stories about the genets that they raised when they were in Singita. Definitely a genet, and there were definitely 2, and it's definitely very small. Shame. Just see its little eye there. That is a genet, right? It is, yeah. No, it definitely is. Amazing how obviously their eyes stand out. What's crazy is that I was not expecting to see another one. We're quite far away from the original one that we saw. I haven't seen a genet in ages, and now I've seen 2. I think this is a youngster. It's really, really hard to tell. It's obviously wrapped up there in a sandpaper raisin. Ian says it's the Jackson family, the Jackson 3, led of course by Genet Jackson. It could well be, actually, honestly, with where we are. I never actually found out where that little genet nest was. Nest is probably the wrong word. But they were living in the hollow of a tree. And I never found out where it was because I was in the Mara, but I think it was somewhere here, off Gowrie Cut Line. It would be a good time to have little genet babies, because the insects are coming out now. And they do eat insects, rodents. They will scavenge off carcasses if they have to. Yes, and Mrs. Lapwing, they do den. They have their babies in hollows of trees. Okay. And they do, once they are a couple of weeks old, they do move about with mom. I've never seen it properly, but I have worked on camera trap projects before, where we found pictures of 5 genets moving together at a time, a mom and 4 little ones. And we watched, because the camera trap project ran for quite a while, we actually kind of watched these genet babies grow up. And until eventually they were basically the same size as the mother, but still moving with her. Big stretch from our genet, and now it is around this side here. I think I just saw movement. Let's try reposition. There you are, I see you. I knew I saw movement there. Could be an entire herd of elephants behind me. I haven't even stopped to look. I've just gone backwards. There's also a tree I probably should have looked at. Yeah, it's there. That didn't go well. No, I don't know. It's gone now. I mean, it's not gone. It's in here somewhere, but I can't see where. Should we stop tormenting the poor Genet? I think so. Let's leave it be. Well done, Seb. You're sorry. That was not easy. Sometimes I think our poor cameraman probably want to throttle us at the end of a drive. Look, there's a beautiful, small, grey, invisible bird. Over there. Well, look, please film this Genet at night through some grass. It's invisible, but I promise you it's there. Please just zoom in and find it. Honestly, what they have to put up with. They are the real heroes. Them and the Genets, of course. Oops! Nearly drove into a rhino midden. Come on, Trish. Last minute leopard, last minute leopard. Let's go across to Trishala. No pressure, but there's only 5 minutes left.
No pressure at all. It's not like I'm driving like a maniac and I'm dropping the spotlight, and I came to the crossroads of Rebecca's, Zoe's, Valenites, and I just sit there for 20 seconds and think, where do I go? And then I picked up some tracks, and then the tracks were moving in the opposite direction, and then they looked old. And now our gut has just said, let's go up Zoe's and see what happens. I think that he'll be using the roads. I don't think that he will cut through blocks too much. And I've taken his favorite road, Mendoza, up. So he's not on there. Yeah, the problem is he crossed in about like 11 minutes ago now, so he would have moved quite a bit. But it's actually easy with the spotlight, so if I see a bit of eye shine that looks leopard-like, then I can see. Laura, you say fingers and toes are crossed? Yes, they are. And I just saw a bat fly above me. I'm taking that as a good sign. Come on, Hukumuri, there's only, not even 5 minutes left. Ooh, I'm gonna take the quickest dash down Viatella access and then Impala Plains. I'm so sorry I'm not looking at you. It's just if I don't look at the road at the speed, we're gonna have an issue. It is the most frustrating thing. I can hardly even hear your comment. What was it? Dinga? Heart's racing. Good. I'm glad. So much anticipation. Come on, Hukumuri, show yourself. Everyone wants to see you. You will be the star, the last minute leopard. Alright, well, I'm collecting all of your luck, and I'm going down via tele-access.
After that level of excitement, I'm about to drive into a herd of elephants, but I had a brief panic because I thought I was about to drive into a rhino, but it's okay, it's an elephant, so that's all right. As you know, we don't show rhino, so I have on the odd occasion been known to duck them. There you go. No, let's go forward. So, Flora, the Jack Russell puppy, has never met an elephant before. And they're now right outside the house. She may just have her first encounter with an elephant in the dark. I wonder what she shall think of them. She doesn't mind antelope or warthogs. She whines at giraffe and monkeys. She doesn't bark at them. And she has been known to bark at the odd leopard. Don't know what she'd do with an Ellie. We'll find out, I guess. Nice that we've had so many elephants around. can hear more of them moving around me. It's always an interesting experience watching elephants in the dark. It's one of my favorite things to do, is just switch off all the lights and just sit and listen to them feeding. I fear, unfortunately, it doesn't look as though there's going to be a last-minute leopard at this point. There's 60 seconds to go. So unless Trishala whips a leopard out of the bag, it's not looking likely. She's now only got 40 seconds to go, and I think, unfortunately, that is that. But tomorrow is another day, and who knows, I'll be out on foot tomorrow morning. So we'll see what we can find out here in the great wilds of Djuma. Maybe the lions will be around. Hopefully the eddies will still be around. And a whole host of leopards that we need to find. On that note, everybody, as our elephant walks into the darkness with no consideration at all for our credits, it's the end of the Sunset Safari. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.